Hi, I'm Verrett with VerTac, and this is the EXPS3-1. So one of my new favorite optics is Eotech's 1 MOA only variant. It is the EXPS3-1, and what that means is it's just a single dot without the ring that it's kind of famous for. Now you might ask, well, why would you want an Eotech if you're going to lose the big donut of death ring around the dot? Well, there's a couple of reasons. If you're going to be using the optic predominantly for night vision, it's going to add some additional benefits that we're going to cover later on. But if you're used to shooting the Aimpoint T2 series of optics, where you have just a single 2 MOA dot, sometimes going back and forth with that big ring, the 68 MOA ring, it seems a little bit busy, and it's not something I necessarily prefer anymore. While that does also have some advantages, using the ring for a BDC or an offset calculator when you're trying to make shots quickly, again, once you've kind of adapted to just a single dot, such as on a Aimpoint T2, again, it can seem a little bit busy. So when you go down to a 1 MOA dot, some people are gonna say, oh, it's gonna be too small, you're not gonna find it, you're not gonna be able to utilize it, blah, blah, blah. That's not going to be a problem. Now, the Eotech has 20 adjustable daytime settings and 10 adjustable night vision settings. So what you're going to see is you can make that dot nice, big, and bright, or when you're trying to get a really fine dot that has for a precision shot, you can dial that thing down and get a really crisp single dot in comparison to a 2 MOA. Now, the 2 MOA is still very usable out to distance 500, 600, 700 yards without a magnifier, but it is very challenging. A 2 MOA dot is at 500 yards roughly about a 10-inch circle relatively, whereas a 1 MOA dot is a 5-inch circle approximately, so it makes lining things up a little bit easier, especially if you're trying to make wind calls. It's gonna make your life a lot easier when you're shooting out to distance. But the predominant reason I love this optic and I've moved over to it is for night vision applications. So looking at the Eotech, you have 20 daytime visible settings that you can adjust it to. So you can find the optimal setting under daylight conditions or white light conditions that you prefer. Then you can reach up, you press this night vision button here, and that will change it to the night vision mode. You can then find the optimal night vision setting that you want it to be at, and it will remember the daytime setting you left it at. So if I'm running this thing with night vision for passive shooting, I can pick the optimal dot brightness to get good, clear, clean, passive night vision shooting. Then, if I ever need to do a white light transition, a white light override, etc., or if I'm just going to ditch nods, I'm going to go back to white light, I can then lift my nods out of the way, just reach up, push the night vision button, and then I am on my preferred daylight setting. I don't have to adjust quickly on the fly or try to remember how many up and down, as is with some other optic options. So I find that to be a huge benefit, especially when we put it on a shot timer, we start trying to see who can get from shooting under nods quickly over to shooting under their white light the fastest and the most accurate. Now, one of the other distinct advantages, while this optic does add some additional weight to your rifle compared to some of the other options out there, we're getting a much bigger window and we're getting cleaner glass. So that makes it a much better option for shooting under night vision, as light transmission through an optic body and through glass that is not completely clear, it greatly reduces the amount of light coming through the optics, such as a T2 or some of the other LED options out there, because those use a notch filter, a tinting of the glass that helps with the LED light emitting diode within that optic to be more visible under different lighting conditions. So being that this is a holographic sight, it does not need to have a notch filter, so you get clear, clean glass, you get a bigger window, so a lot more light transmission, which makes passive shooting way more practical. And additionally, if you're running a single tube night vision device such as a PVS-14, that's gonna make being able to see the target and see your dot much more viable. The single dot MOA version of this is still coming in at about 1,000 hours of battery life. So be aware that you may need to carry extra batteries. I have yet to see a failure from any of the EXPS3 optics that we've been using from Eotech for the past 7 years. And we've beat them up. We've had them in the snow. We've had them in the rain. We have versions of this that have gone through 10, 12,000 rounds, and they're still going. So if you're still concerned or on the fence about Eotech, there could always be a bad optic still out there from any brand. However, Eotech has earned its way back into my personal collection because this thing just kicks ass when it comes to reliability now, and it kicks ass and has some distinct advantages when using night vision devices. If you guys have questions, please feel free to reach out to us. I'm Brandon Verrett, VerrettsTactical.com and VerTac.tv.